Welcome to the Any Last Words podcast. Four overzealous friends severely in over their heads navigate what they claim to be areas of their own expertise, be it nerd culture, politics, or critiquing media.
Join us, if you will.
For these may very well be
our last words.
Nec Ultima Verba.
Hello, me again. I'm not asked to find material for the intro this week either, so here's some food for thought. Why is it that tall people are expected to help short people with high shelves, but if we ask a short person to pick up something on the ground that we've dropped, it's insulting? Like, if we have to spare you the trouble of finding a footstool, you guys can spare us some fucking back pain, you ungrateful little nasty hobbitses. That's all. 3, 2, 1, my name is Brandon, and I hate myself for I'm not here at what is possibly the pinnacle of the ALW podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Any Last Words podcast, rated 15 out of 3 bagels out of 3 Subway sandwiches on iTunes. By username, I don't know why I'm bringing back this bit. It is a blatant ripoff of The Misfits. I'm joined here adjacent to myself with my first favorite human, third favorite manager, except that's a blatant lie, first favorite manager.
It's Reggie, it's me. I'm here. I'm always first.
Naturally. And the extraordinarily sleep-deprived representation of all gamers everywhere on the planet, if not the universe as we foresee it.
I am the second favorite, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm Budgie.
I didn't rank you, but
whatever. Yeah, it's whatever.
There is no ranks when it comes to gamers.
Exactly. Well,
What do you mean? There's sense, but
well, that is just the most... Okay, you know what? I'm just going to leave that alone. Brandon's dead, unfortunately, so we've replaced him. Not permanently, just for the week, with our guest, our very, very much highly anticipated guest.
Drum roll, please.
No one bash a table, or I swear to God, I'll strangle them.
I was
Either way,
about to, so thank God.
I was gonna bash my laptop.
I know where you live. Do not bash anything. Either way, we've been leaving it for a little bit too long, taking this bit out for a solid minute. Introducing my favorite man right over here.
Oh, hi. I am Justice. I am an American. I am a poltergeist. Wow. I have taken over Brendan's body, and I am not letting him go. So you're stuck with me now.
So
I mean, as you should,
American.
honestly.
That's a true American.
That explains... It explains his morbid fascination with Arby's. You know? It's all falling together now. Like
exactly.
Brandon, he never was good at, you know, being of his own Asian ethnicity. If anything, I was better at it than he was. So explains a lot now.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes.
I mean,
But
that's
exactly.
true.
It really is. We can't go one episode without shitting on Brandon, I'm not gonna lie.
Hi,
I
Hitler.
mean, oh,
No.
I mean, I've just been listening, and I've been, you know, shitting on him nonstop. Sorry, Brendan, but
I mean, it's only
he provides
natural.
plenty of content.
He does, and we love him for it.
Exactly.
Yes.
The only
But yes,
reason
hello.
why he's here.
Indeed, hello. That's it, everybody. That's a representation of all
Yep.
Americans whatsoever, but, well,
Yes.
is that really fair to say that you're a representative of all Americans? Because if anything, I think you're a bit against the grain.
You know, honestly, I would say, yeah, no, I'm not. Like, I don't know. That sounds like, you know, one of the statistics you were reading fairly recently.
Yes.
I am one of those many Americans who considers them smarter than the average American. You know, that's a great sign. But
It really is.
yeah.
The Dunning-Kruger
Absolutely.
effect in full flow right there.
Right.
Yes.
And I would say I'm a representative in the sense that I am just, you know, another white male. So, you know, all the riveting content coming from that.
Just
I'm
like
a white
Callan's
male, too.
ex-wife.
Exactly.
Another white male.
Yes.
Also me.
Uh,
Surprise. Hello, Callan.
hello, and welcome to the White Male Club. You've been a guest of it much longer than I have, but I shall welcome you irregardless.
Yes. Hello. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I feel very welcome.
So, aside from white male and American,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
what else would you imply yourself as? Also
Sure.
above intelligence.
I am 24 years old, just about. I will be in a couple of days.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's one of
Happy
my
birthday.
highest achievements.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Yes.
Please
birthday.
come. Thank you. I also thank you very much.
Birthday month twins right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I also am a pharmacy technician in the northwest part of the United States. I work in a hospital here, and that is currently where I am at this very moment.
Lovely. Yeah,
See.
and he's not lying. He is very much at work at his own residence of occupation, recording for the podcast. So, if you people love the level of dedication that not only our hosts but our guests provide for this podcast, don't forget to hit that fucking like button, smash that notification bell, subscribe to the channel, why not, and share this with your grandmother. You know, like I'm already
Listen
talking.
to it with your grandmother.
Exactly. Grandma already knows who I am. All right, I see her more often than you do. All right.
Exactly. We
Like-
eat her cookies without you.
Exactly. And she really wants you to go see her more often, but like you're just you're off being a rebellious little twat and not respecting your elders. So
My
Being a
grandma's dead.
Brandon.
exactly, being a Brandon to your own grandma, how could you?
We're just gonna brush the fact that Budgie's grandma's dead.
Yes.
Yeah, we just glossed right over that.
Sorry, Grandma. No time.
Oh no. Oh no. A few of mine are dead as well, but it is what it is. Either way, here we are. But yeah, so
You
you've
gotta take better
mentioned
care of them.
you
Tell
really
us why
do.
they're dead, Cal.
Well, unfortunately, it seems the human body, with all of its faults, is only designed to last so long before the oxygen gets to it. I mean, actually, that is an interesting theory some people have, where they believe
Oh.
that oxygen, like the oxygen, is slightly toxic to the human body, and it eventually kills you. So there's little merit
Though-
to it, but it's an interesting idea that oxygen
So I believe the
kills you.
detectives
Even
are
that-
still investigating the stab wounds.
Yeah.
Exactly. They died of stab wounds and breathing air for the past 60 years, essentially.
Oh, you went for the oxygen topic. I
Well-
thought you were going for one of our other topics.
Well, I thought to educate the masses about how some people think that oxygen is dangerous to them. But
And to be fair, I mean, this is also a partially American audience that this will be broadcast to, so we got to educate them as much as we can.
exactly.
True.
Yes. But I mean, as you've mentioned only just recently, you, my good sir, are in the medical field as a
Yes, sir.
pharmaceutical technician and whatnot. And with your experience in that regard, you've come to a couple of conclusions about what I believe some people would call getting lit high in the sky
yes.
with Lucy, you know?
Certainly. Yeah, no, I
Indeed.
know that as somewhat of a pastime interest, I like to study, more so reading accounts of people who document their experiences with investigational medications, I would say, aka in this sense, it being more so of the, psychedelic variety.
Naturally.
Hmm.
I would not obviously in any way imply that I myself take any part in these substances, though.
Exactly.
I find
For all
reading-
legal disclosure.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
But I do have a fascination with reading some of the documented, accounts, as well as myself being an advocate for generalized legalization and decriminalization of most, I guess, recreational drug use.
Naturally. And I mean, like, the criminalization of it does stem back to the war on drugs, President Nixon, Reagan, and so forth. Exactly. It's not illegal because there was a genuine medical concern. It was genuinely a race thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of these drugs were actually legalized in the United States for a long time, but then, I mean, you have on record. I mean, I believe it was Nixon who said that, basically admitted outright that, he waged the drug war because he knew that he was never going to get the vote of the black population. So how do you get rid of those who are going to vote against you? You put them in prison so they can't vote. And what's the best way to do that? Well, everyone was doing drugs at the time, so you criminalize drugs, and then you only really enforce it on people of a certain race. I mean, when it comes to like the opiates, the heroin, and so on and so forth, there were actually like opium dens in the United States during a period of time. And the reason why they, made those illegal was that they were typically run by the Chinese. And of course, the whole fear was, oh, well, your daughters are going to get swept up in these opium dens by these Chinese if you keep them open. So, like you got to protect your daughters, right? So make it illegal.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, unfortunately, that it's retained to this day. Well, just the general policies. It's not as if anything major has occurred any otherwise. What was the point I was going to make? I've completely forgotten everything about my existence whatsoever.
Who am I?
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, one could even argue for the medical benefits thereof. I mean, you certainly.
Certainly.
Yeah, exactly. You're like a medical opinion on regards. So like, there are definitely benefits to recreational use as far as your studies included.
Yeah, and there are official studies that are going on, constantly. And I was just reading from one of these studies, I believe. Oh gosh, I want to say it was a study from the Rand Corporation, maybe, but the study concluded that MDMA, also well known as ecstasy or Molly, paired with talk therapy, is significantly incredible for people with PTSD and helping resolve that. Obviously, I advocate for the recreational use on its own. Though the studies showed that the recreational use on its own didn't really improve PTSD or anything, but both the combination of this drug that is so demonized, ecstasy, as well as talk therapy, they found, it's just absolutely astounding. Constantly, when they do studies like that, they find more and more evidence that, these things aren't actually terrible and in fact work better than some other things for people who are suffering from different things like that.
Which, I mean, is a pretty profound notion, like even amongst a lot of people who are okay with, say, like marijuana or psychobilin and whatnot. The idea of MDMA being beneficial medically, even that is certainly something which has been heavily socially stigmatized. Yeah. And what I find... sorry, do go on.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, there's even a college professor, Dr. Carl. Oh, that's embarrassing. I can't remember his last name right now. But I know that he was a professor who has dedicated a lot of time to studying the same things and advocates for recreational drug use, and even has admitted that he, on occasion, as being a college professor, has partaken in heroin use, which, granted, things like heroin, I think there's an amount of a understandable stigma, certainly when it comes to the opiates, but nonetheless, it's not just like me as some, hippie, like 24-year-old, like kid, just advocating for stuff like that. You have college professors and doctors, all sorts of.
And I mean, Barack Obama said in his obituary that he admitted to doing cocaine as well.
Oh yeah.
I heard about that too.
Yeah. And I mean, on the topic, I like to point this out because I think it's hilarious. Because a lot of the people who are, against drugs are very much a conservative Christian type and whatnot. But
Oh,
Jesus definitely would have used marijuana.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, if he existed, I'm gonna leave that debate for another day. But
Well, I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed he at least existed, but it's like the bigger topic is, whether or not the events of his life played out. But yeah, I mean, certainly, you see back in the day, all sorts of Greek doctors and things like that, ancient Greek doctors who talked about using marijuana. So why? I mean, I think Jesus was around certainly during a time in which marijuana use, at the very least, was being used, and I think without a doubt.
and
controversial.
Yeah. And at the time, it was Jewish custom to use prolific amounts of marijuana in various ceremonies and whatnot, like baptisms. They were baptizing babies with marijuana, essentially.
Who wouldn't? Right?
Exactly. Who would not? It's not. They weren't forcing the babies to ingest marijuana or anything. But
they had to make the babies smoke, make sure they're cool.
But yeah, psychedelics and whatnot. I mean, they've always had some form of religious significance because it's a bit of a profound experience. So for a lot of cultures, they created there's a connection between a lot of these substances and having religious significance. So they essentially just they would make oils and such out of marijuana and use that in ceremonial circumstances. I mean, this is less applicable, but the Greeks, the highest power of came from the oracles as far as Greek and even Greco-Roman. I think that persisted several centuries after the Senate era? Yeah, close enough. Either way, the highest power in all of Greco-Roman society were essentially a bunch of women sitting on volcanic vents getting high as fuck.
Okay.
And their drivel would essentially be taken as direct word of God. I mean, that persists throughout cultures globally. People under the influence in ancient times, that was about as close as you could get to a god. So I just kind of find that I find it kind of, I don't know, almost poetic that the very foundation of what a lot of people are fighting against is pretty much what they're fighting against.
I mean, honestly, and I mean, look at the I mean, if you want to talk about local America, I mean, the Native American tribes and their use of
definitely.
ayahuasca. I mean, it's completely spiritual, but I mean, like you said, there's an irony in it, certainly.
So I mean, I believe substances have been legalized for those religious purposes.
Yeah, I don't know how much when it comes to the actual reservations and such, but fun fact for you guys, just being where I am now, when it comes to drugs and stuff. So we do have a overseeing government body that defines the I don't know, the level of I suppose abuse potential of drugs, as well as, and classifies them by that. So at the very top you have class 1 controlled substance, which refers to things that are illegal. So things still technically federally illegal as marijuana. You have things like heroin, so on and so forth. But then class 2 controlled substances, are the highest controlled class, but we do still use them. If you break your arm and you need pain medication, more often than not, that pain medication is going to be a class 2 controlled substance. Or if you take ADHD medication, and the lowest class being class 5, typically cough syrups and things like that. But here in the hospital, when it comes to the control 2 substances, something that we use often is just straight up cocaine. We have cocaine hydrochloride. And
Naturally.
so I have held cocaine in my hand and delivered it before. And, that's a fun one.
Exactly. And for full
yeah.
legal disclosure, done under medical circumstances, yada, yada, yada. You get the gist,
Yes.
listeners. This
Yes.
is a legal adult
It was
sure discussion.
prescription cocaine delivered to a patient and used by a licensed professional for that patient. It was, I like to joke that the cocaine is really for the doctors, but, no. But then also, not to mention, I did mention heroin before, but just a fun fact about heroin, it was originally created in the United States itself, actually, and it was created to be a less addictive alternative to morphine, which I don't know if you know this, but heroin, just as if not more addicting than morphine. But the company that originally had the patent to it was Bayer, who I'm sure if you guys have gotten aspirin before, you may be familiar with Bayer as the manufacturer for a lot of aspirin in modern day. But
yeah, fairly prominent
Bayer used
company.
to make prescription heroin.
Yeah, I mean, it's all connected and whatnot. Drugs are drugs. If you're in the business, then you're doing them all.
Yep, and I'm a drug dealer, professionally.
Yes, exactly. License.
A licensed professional drug dealer.
Yeah. But one could definitely make the argument that, obviously, this has been decades in the making, but the war on drugs is, not only is it counterproductive to society as a whole, but it's also a costly expense. So,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it is running at a negative profit, and there is absolutely no impact. If anything, I'm pretty sure drug usage rates are actually on the increase, and the implementation of a lot of these policies related to the war on drugs has, if anything, given more power to the illegal drug trade and whatnot.
Certainly.
Yeah, especially on an international scale, foreign drug cartels have just become immensely more powerful because of what's going on. So, what's your general argument or your statement there? As for legalization, there's other benefits.
Yeah, certainly. When you bring up the cartels, generally speaking, when it comes to, you talk about conservative Americans, a lot of conservative Americans are like, well, there are too many Mexicans and all these Mexicans are coming over to this country and all this stuff. Well, what they don't think about is the fact that a lot of the Mexicans that are coming from Mexico or just other parts of South America, these people are people who are running to find refuge because of those same drug cartels a lot of the time. And those drug cartels, they own so much of the countries, and the thing that gives them so much power is that about 80% of the money that they make is made from selling in America. Literally, as long as we have this the criminalization of these drugs, there's going to be a black market for them. And as long as there's a black market, they're going to thrive. I don't know if you heard about this, but our FDA, another, Food and Drug Administration, the oversight board there, they're working on banning menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars. And it's the entire reason that they're claiming to do it, which is kind of true, is that, the largest populace you see using these things is black population. But that's also because for decades, that's who those products were marketed entirely to. And to try and resolve this problem, they're just banning the products altogether instead of, maybe adjusting the advertising and things like that. Well, now these things are, since they're not going to be available standard, they're going to move to the black market. And already the government's working on setting up black market, I guess, crackdowns on these things, but they would have avoided the issue altogether if they didn't criminalize it.
Yeah, so I mean, like, what you're implying is that it's still very much a race thing, like a...
Absolutely.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's concerning as to the lengths that the government will go towards something so counterintuitive. I mean, what is your own personal belief, I suppose, as to the reason why any sort of governing body would, I mean, essentially continue such a dead program for roughly, what, is it 60 years?
Yeah, certainly, you hear so many people ask Biden, like Joe Biden, if he's going to legalize marijuana, and he makes all these arguments of, oh, we need to study it more and things like that. But he's never been on the side. He's always been a drug warrior. And so ultimately, what it comes down to, why continue these things, it's because ultimately, as long as these, as long as you have the population fighting amongst themselves, they're not going to be as concerned with what's going on in the government, and that applies to more than just drugs, especially in the United States. But drugs are a big thing. Is that they're continuing to criminalize the same people. We have an absurdly imbalanced prison population that
Yes,
you'll
definitely.
hear these arguments of black people or Mexicans are just committing more crimes. No, that's not true. What's happening is they are penalized for more crimes, but they don't commit crimes at a higher rate, certainly not by a long shot. And the crimes that they do commit tend to be more so petty crimes, whereas you have, look at any boardroom on Wall Street. It's all these like white men who are effectively robbing, millions of dollars from the, working class and committing all sorts of crimes, and they don't get as much as a slap on the wrist because, they can pay off that same government who's doing them these favors by keeping the working class fighting with itself.
And you brought up the prison industry and whatnot, and a lot of people don't recognize that it's so heavily privatized, and they run their profits based on quotas about how many people that they've incarcerated. So there's such a high prominence of privatized prisons throughout the U.S. and. They essentially make profits by incarcerating as many people as possible. So they're targeting minorities and whatnot.
Cheapest labor you'll get anywhere.
Exactly.
It's legalized slavery.
Yeah. And it cost the same, last I checked, don't quote me on this, but last I checked, it costs the same for the taxpayers to run a privatized prison than it does for an actual one, like a state-governed one. And I'm pretty sure a lot of privatized prisons, if they don't make quotas, then they tax the government if they don't make prison quotas. It's privatized. They're there for profit.
They probably get all sorts of subsidies. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So, while the war on drugs itself isn't exactly a profitable nor an effective program, it's all interconnected throughout the rest of society, and a lot of other industries garner to profit from it. And for whatever reason, the Australian government too, but there's nothing more a government likes than making a loss to help someone who will donate a couple million to them down the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is a horrible business model, because let's be honest, a couple million isn't going to offset the billions that you're expending a year on crappy programs and whatnot.
No, but it's a couple million going into the pockets of, people high up, whereas the billions that are lost are coming from the people at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah, it is what it is. Capitalism, burn it to the ground, all that shit. But yeah. Either way, something a bit more lighthearted, because why the fuck not? It's time for my favorite segment and yours. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's that jolly old theme music which you always hear. It's happening right now. I haven't done anything to it. I'm not going to change it whatsoever. You can't make me. It's the same track as always. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Fund or Bust, which is totally not Shark Tank. Please don't sue us, whatever channel owns that. And today, of course, at his own request, mind you, so he's got more balls than half of my co-hosts do, Justice decided that he himself would actually present this week's Fund or Bust. So...
Oh, yeah. You know I didn't come in here unless I had something to pitch.
Exactly.
I am a red-blooded capitalist through and through.
Exactly. It doesn't get any better than this. This is peak capitalism right here, ladies and gentlemen. Either way.
Now, remind me what my product I have for you is, please.
Exactly.
Marijuana.
Oh, yeah, do you sell marijuana?
Just marijuana. Oh. That was just a working title, marijuana.
Yes.
But
That's what actually you think.
yes.
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it can be if you want. I'm just saying, like, we
No,
haven't
certainly.
funded the business yet, so you're welcome to change up the direction at any time. Or you can
It's
just,
fair.
like...
I know it's funded.
Yes. You can disenfranchise the name from the business practice if you'd so desire. But yes, here we have a representative from Justice's Jolly Joysticks.
Yes, it's me, Justice of Justice's Jolly Joysticks. You may also know me from products such as Justice's Juicy Joints. But my Jolly Joysticks, let me tell you, these things, I mean, it gets better than this, but not much.
Ooh.
Well,
We're pretty
let
much
me tell
almost
you.
at the peak.
Yes.
Yes.
You like retro gaming.
This is true.
Good.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you like modern gaming?
Yes.
This
Yes.
is also
Both
true.
controllers have joysticks. But don't you hate that your joysticks, while they mostly don't make noise, the ones that do, just really annoying squeaking, right? You need to spice it up. Now
This is
you
true.
Oh,
have
do I?
Justice's Jolly Joysticks. Absolutely. You're trying to
My
play
gosh.
your Legend of Zeldas. You're trying to play your Mario Brothers. And you're just like, well, the game is fun and all, but I'm just not living in it enough. How would you like it if every time you moved your character or you went to, look at an object in your Elder Scrolls games, so on and so forth,
Naturally.
and your joystick howled like a banshee? It is. I'm trying to think of any other sounds, but that is the one that I've been able to nail down. I've got it recorded, and every time you move, it is a ear-splitting cat yell that someday it will have any other audio clip, but that is what I've got right now.
That sounds
Trust me,
pleasant.
it's jolly somehow. It will get there. I think I've got some Christmas ideas, but those don't come
Oh my
around for
God.
another few months.
It really doesn't.
I'm gonna give it to my mom.
Perfect. She will love it.
I mean, hey, exactly. I can't think of anyone's mother who would not love one of these Jolly Joysticks.
I know, right?
Now
This
that
is why
Yeah.
I need the funding. You guys pay into it, and I'll have things that are like, oh, I don't know, the air brakes of a semi-truck, or a train miles away. Those sounds that just fill you with joy. Am I right?
They really do. You are not wrong.
You're not
Nothing
wrong.
brings me more joy than
That's
the sound of distant
what-
train noises.
That's what I call
We all
American
love
ingenuity.
trains.
Who
Exactly. Trains are great. I was a
Now-
train kid, you know?
Damn, we should have made you
Nostalgia.
pitch a train instead.
I mean, I've
I
got all
can.
sorts of ideas.
I mean, hey, I can see that this business has got places to go.
But if I'm ever going to afford a train business, I am going to need these joysticks sold.
Yes. I did not just die then. You cannot prove anything. I I am
Haven't
still
reached-
Callan. Yes, either way.
What do you
Jolly
say?
joysticks.
Wait, how much is
Justice is
this?
jolly.
That's a good
It
question. How
is
much?
a nominal fee of 40 payments of $9.99 plus tax. But
Is this American dollar? Is this US dollars or AU?
yes, don't be
Damn.
ridiculous. I am not putting in the work to do these conversions. But come on.
You know, I will give you that. I hate conversions also.
Yeah.
It's not international, it's only regional.
Are they better than Joy-Cons?
You guys are going to fund this, but it's not being distributed anywhere but the United States for now. We'll
Oh,
see.
I
Maybe
see.
I'll get around to it.
Well, I mean, that's what
If
they
we
said about
fund it,
Starlink.
it could be international.
This is true.
It could be if I get
But do we want it to?
I'm telling you. I mean, where are you going to get your banshee noises otherwise?
Ah, he's got a point.
You can't feel jolly with a jolly joystick.
You really can't.
Exactly.
That is my slogan. I don't know how you guessed it.
Yeah, I haven't felt jolly in
I'm just a
years, so like
genius.
this might be the pickup I need.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna pick up some joy.
Excellent.
You-
I'd love to hear it.
Exactly. Well, I think
Okay. Why don't we
Yeah.
ask Mr. Justice to leave the room
just briefly.
just briefly? While
Okay,
we're-
I will
Delegations.
step out. This door here is the door I leave.
Yes.
from?
Yeah,
That's the
it's
one.
right next to
Excuse
the
me.
Yeah.
cow-shaped guitar.
Gotcha.
How
Yes,
Yeah.
I see that. Thank you for describing. Thank
Next to
you.
the
I
coffee
see.
machine.
Yeah,
I will
Lovely.
leave
just
out
through
this
the
door.
little cage through there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Ignore the children in it.
Yeah,
They're
go
not
back to
mine.
America.
That was a bit racist, but it was funny, so I'm gonna leave it in.
Okay, guys. So what do we think
Okay.
about this?
Well, I think they're jolly and their joysticks at a potentially reasonable price, provided they're in Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as they're better
Yes.
than these goddamn Joy-Cons and the Joy-Con drifting.
This is true.
Wait, did he say
I mean-
40 payments of $9.99?
Yes, he did say that.
But it's only $9.99, you know? Like, if it was $10, then we'd have an issue. But I feel like $9.99 is pretty reasonable.
That's like $400.
Sorry, just
Is
popping
it?
my head back in. That is also plus tax. Excuse me, I'll step back out
Oh.
this door now.
Leave.
That is the most American fucking thing. The taxes aren't included on the price tag.
Yeah.
I know. That fact alone might make me not want a jolly
He's
joystick.
really telling us to read the fine print.
I know. What is this, America? Oh no. Ah,
You know what? I kind of want to see it international.
I do, with taxes included in the
With
price
taxes included.
tag. Exactly. Everyone else got the point. Everyone else figured it out. But either way,
And I want to hear that, that cat screeching. The train.
exactly.
The train.
The train ones really got me going.
Yeah.
Budge, how do you feel about this?
You know, sure. Sure.
Hmm.
We need your gamer opinion.
Exactly. You're the representation
Exactly.
of all
The one
gamers
problem I have
international.
is whenever I'm playing Breath of the Wild and I get Joy-Con drifting, which is the most annoying thing ever to deal with. As long as there's no drifting, I'm happy to fund it.
I mean, I have a feeling that if there is drifting, then we can sue.
It
Yeah.
could be.
So there's always that. Exactly.
could
So
be.
I think
Let's do that.
yes,
if something
I think
bad happens,
this-
we can sue.
Yeah.
Yes, this looks like an overwhelming yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's do
Okay.
this.
Justice representative of Justice's Jolly Joysticks, please do re-enter the room.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yes.
We're here
I
to
also
sue
brought with
you.
me. Oh, good news. I have brought with me, just in case, my very American lawyer, He is extremely silent, but let me tell you, he is rock solid. His
He's
points
just a
are
rock.
not him. Yes.
Oh my. They're quite an intimidating fellow right
It's
there.
Justice's
Yeah.
pet rock.
Well, it's my pet lawyer, who happens to be a rock,
Oh.
and
Pocket lawyer.
he will be listening in case there's any concern of lawsuits.
Damn.
Well, I think
Now,
in that regard, as long as not your Joy-Cons, your Jolly Joysticks don't
yes,
drift.
thank you. Joy-Cons are
Yes.
trash. No,
Joy-Cons are horrible. Fuck you, Nintendo.
both my Jolly Joysticks don't drift. Plus, while your old pal Link is running around, finding those Korra children and such. Imagine if this joystick is, sounding like the beating of metal pans together.
Ooh.
Metal
Now, what an
pans?
experience! Yeah.
Damn, I thought
I
you were gonna
like
say the
that.
beating of children. Damn it.
I mean,
It's in the works. It takes some time to get audio files for that and
Oh.
avoid lawsuits. So
there we go. Well,
know.
I mean, this sounds more promising the more we hear of it, but yes, I think we're here to tell you that Just Jolly Joysticks is receiving a resounding yes from Thunder Bus, totally not Shark Tank. Please don't sue us,
Incredible.
whatever channel owns that program.
Incredible.
Don't do it.
yes, I think
Don't
it's the
do
Food
it.
Network, but I don't actually think that. We'll
I
just
wouldn't
say
know.
yes.
I don't watch TV anymore.
What
Either
is
way,
that? What's TV?
I'm not sure actually.
A relic
Can
of
you,
the
like-
past.
Cook bread
I've
on
heard
that?
rumors. Honestly, I wish.
I believe it's a deity of some kind.
Perhaps.
Oh my
I'm sure like
God.
people used to like congregate around it at specific hours of the day and like sit there mindlessly in front of it. Or
Yeah.
some dystopian shit like that.
Exactly, a deity.
Yeah, pretty much. What? Oh, yeah.
Now, wonderful.
You've
They
been
will
funded.
go out shipping right away to the United States, and then once the motivation hits, international.
Gorgeous.
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks. Make sure to jump onto Justice's Jolly Joysticks when you start seeing them go international.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Round of applause.
But you
So
know
proud.
what? There's 100% that. Round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Come on. I know you're not clapping, person who's
I-
watching this. Clap harder. Faster. Now louder. Now
More
upside down.
sensual.
further loop. Exactly. Over your head. Start screaming loudly. And hit the share button if you're watching this on YouTube and send it to your grandma. And if you're watching this on Spotify, share it with your dad.
Yes.
Here's a new one.
But not in reverse. I will
Exactly. Do not do this in reverse. We will find out. We have a very special set of skills, which would make us a bit of a nightmare for people like yourselves.
Yes.
I'm butchering this, but we will find you, and we will force you to subscribe on
know. I
15
did forget to
different
mention,
accounts.
I've been Liam Neeson the entire time.
Dear God, it is Liam Neeson. Everybody,
Yes.
it's Liam Neeson.
But
Oh
we're
my
going to brush
God.
over this fact.
You're the guy from Willy Wonka, yeah?
Yep,
Yeah, exactly.
Liam Neeson, the guy from Willy Wonka, exactly.
Yeah.
He's my favorite
You're that
guy from
math
Willy Wonka.
teacher. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Hiya. But you know what, though, talking about TV, we're fairly opinionated people on the topic of Avatar, The Last Airbender, and all succeeding series.
My goodness.
I think that's something very much we could establish right off the bat.
Yes.
It's a pity that Brandon couldn't be here for this. I'm sure he would have loved this conversation.
Too
This is
bad.
his
He's
punishment.
not here.
Exactly. Hence why we're having this conversation.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. But I mean, I feel like you yourself, Justice, have been one of the core defenders of the Legend of Korra, the succeeding series, post of the
Defenders?
original series. Because let's be honest,
Well,
I've
yes.
my regards for the series are very vocalized and
Yes.
very grumpy. But you've taken it within your heart to see the light in the darkness.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a diehard defender, but I am certainly. I give the bit. I don't know. I would say yes. I do enjoy a lot about Legend of Korra, but obviously it goes without saying that The Last Airbender was by far a superior series.
Naturally.
Yeah.
You hear the argument a lot of people talking about the dynamics of the villains, and I think that's really what gets me is that like I genuinely that's what kept me watching was the villains of each I guess chapter of Legend of Korra. Don't get me wrong, the love triangle bullshit is what almost made me leave every single time because that is beyond infuriating. But I mean, you can't get much better than Zahir. Like,
yes, I will concur with you there.
Pinnacle. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, not to mention just lava bending. That shit's dope.
This I also agree with.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't have it in the first series.
Yeah. And yes, I mean, I will clarify, like I myself do also have points of Legend of Korra, which I do enjoy, one of which being the world building of Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I will mention a lot of people thought that the change between the original series, where everything was a lot less advanced compared to the Legend of Korra, a lot of people saw that stark contrast is much too unrealistic, if you will. Yeah. But if you actually like draw a comparative study between the development of the Avatar world and our own world with the Industrial Revolution, if anything, they're completely on point. Like the development of the radio after the boom of the Industrial Revolution is pretty much on point with exactly when it was developed in the Legend of Korra and whatnot. Like that's actually spot on. So like for a history buff like myself, that's kind of thrilling to see. And I'll also concur, as you said, like with lava bending and many other kinds, the amount of development that they put into not only societally, but I mean, otherwise instrumentally with the prominence of what bending means to a society.
Certainly.
And how much they've explored it as a technique. I feel like they've lost their way in a couple regards in that the Avatar, I feel, has lost a lot of its... the original theological basis for what it was, that Eastern foundation. A lot of that thematically has been gone from what bending is representatively, but what they've built on it as an art form, like we've got new bending styles and a lot of the fights, or I wouldn't say that a lot of them are superior, but a lot of them do bring in new mechanics and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think it's fascinating that now we've got the first metal bending Avatar and whatnot.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
pretty cool
for sure.
Yeah, but for myself, that's about it. I will say on the topic of the villains that they all make extraordinarily interesting character concepts, but then I feel like their execution does tend to fall short in certain regards. In that more often, ideologically, their basis is perfectly fine, but then how they're treated and their resolution and how they reflect on Korra fall short for me. Unalog, his whole thing was meant to be about balance with the spirits and whatnot, but then it just turns out that he's just some dickhead who wants to become the Dark Avatar. And the only reason why any sort of balance with the spirits comes to fruition is on a whim made by Korra. Like, there was never any indication that that was some sort of goal individually of Korra's on her own regard, nor did Unalog ever, want to actually bring forth the spirit realm into the human realm.
Right, exactly. I mean...
Yeah.
But, I mean, you do genuinely see things like, Amon. There's his whole chapter is about sort of this growing... disliking of the bending population from the non-bending population, and this whole revolution to, be rid of the benders, and you find out eventually, spoiler alert, that
That he himself is
he himself
a
is a
waterbender.
bloodbender. Yeah, well, yeah, a waterbender, but then even further, a bloodbender. But I mean, his you know, motivations for doing that are, I think, they are well highlighted. That you don't despise his character by the end of it. I mean, granted,
But
yeah.
to his movement, like his movement and what he represented prior to that revelation at the end, I feel was perfectly fine. But then you realize
Sure.
that the entire reason why he did anything was to essentially tick off his brother, who was in politics, and his presence as a man was disturbing to his brother's prominent figure and whatnot. So that. To me, like what the individual villains stand for, or what they're trying to be stood in place of, is certainly like it's a step in the right direction. But then at the end of it, he's completely decentralized and disenfranchised from what he was meant to represent. He's just a bratty younger brother who has a family dispute because his father favored his elder brother, and he ended up in politics and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what the greater dispute was? I thought, I guess, more so that the motivation behind the movement was more so the fact that his father, being a cruel bloodbender, forced him and his brother to do cruel things as bloodbenders, and they eventually managed to say no and, pushed away from all that. But I guess that is a good point too. I mean, I guess the disenfranchisement, I suppose, I guess the fact that his identity was revealed and he was shown to be a vendor, sure, that's a good reason to, I guess, give up and exile yourself and, blow up yourself and brother in a speedboat. But, I mean, I guess the more resounding impression I'd gotten from it was that, like for him, I mean, I can't justify Unalaq's dark intentions or whatever, but at least for Amon, it felt like it was more so driven by the desire to not see people abuse bending the way that their father made them abuse it. And, and I mean, Zahir, I know people can make arguments for Zahir's motivations, but ultimately, he has some certainly good points as well. I mean, I don't know, feel free to disagree with that too. I mean, I'm curious to see what your take is on Zahir.
I mean, I do concur. I feel like Zahir is one of the, probably the best of the core villains and whatnot. And I feel like they return to a lot of what made Avatar with their theological approach to it. But at the core, I feel like the outcome of what Zahir essentially wrought, which was briefly for a time, essentially anarchism. Zahir was meant to be prosed as a dichotomy to the Avatar in that they both promote individualistic freedoms and whatnot, and impartiality. And from Zahir's perspective, that means an abolishment of government and overlying control and whatnot. And yes, concurrently, the Earth Queen was essentially a dictatorship and whatnot. Yeah, there's no other way around it. Like, he killed a bitch, and she was a bitch. And obviously, I mean, his individual story is very compelling, but I feel it almost undermines his character in that he wasn't able to recognize that anarchism leads to a power vacuum if there was a previously established power structure without any movement to revolutionize or create some sort of permanent change. Hence why in the very next season, you essentially end up with the restoration of the Earth power under Prince Wu, and then Kuvira comes in, his militarism, whatnot. But to essentially establish the same routine, there's no real change to what he did, and he very easily could become... I mean, he is the most profound of the villains in the Legend of Korra series, but I feel like then they don't do him the justice of giving him the amount of what I feel would be gravity and respect, and to what he had to his own cause and his inability to see through with that. There was no contention. Like it just genuinely feels like at some point it became just a bit of a shit fest. And I mean, evidently, they were leaning into that with like a significant other being killed, and hence him finding total, complete enlightenment from all physical
Others.
possessions, materialism, and whatnot. Yeah, exactly. Which I think is just a very formidable thing conceptually, to have a primary antagonist with no materialistic tether to society and whatnot. But that's where the dichotomous nature of Zahir and the avatars separate, in that the avatar must exist in the physicality as an impartial source of reckoning, rather than Zahir's idea of everyone being free of all materialistic desire and hence freedom being attained through enlightenment or something along those lines. They could have taken Zahir places, but then they didn't.
Mhm.
That made me sad.
Yeah, I definitely see that too.
Yeah, I mean, I do concur with you. The villains certainly do keep people going, aside from
But-
Unalog.
Yeah, I mean, Unalak was pretty dissatisfying. And to be honest, Kavira had a lot of issues too that I just.
She certainly did, yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, I think Legend of Korra is worth watching, if even once. But you could watch The Last Airbender all day, every day, no problem. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was very intriguing to see the return of, what was that gentleman's name? They referred to him as the Combustion Man.
Yeah,
Certainly
his
the
style.
tattoo, and yeah. And when it comes to talking about Zahir's girlfriend's, untimely death, certainly incredibly brutal.
Oh yeah, they don't hold back.
No.
Yeah. And I mean, there are arguments to the comics, which occur post The Legend of Korra and whatnot, which was still under the creative guidance of the two writers who aren't Aaron Ehars. I've forgotten their names.
Mhm.
Personally, I feel like they've derailed significantly more than The Legend of Korra did. Like, they made Korra's dad a homophobe, essentially. And just a lot of questionable things.
Oh, yeah.
They also disregarded, because I mean, post the Kuvira fight, a lot of people ended up being homeless, and then they start looking towards political aid and Korra and whatnot for assistance, as they do, and they've essentially absolved Korra of all responsibility, and she starts shouting at all these homeless people who've been disenfranchised as a result of her own actions and whatnot, which, I mean, we're running out of time, or at least we would be if we cared about time, but she's essentially a Mary Sue. and they don't let go of that theme.
No, absolutely. not.
Yeah. She learns nothing from her villains. At the end of the day, like, the villains all lose the ideological premises, and it essentially becomes a punch-up. She hits them really hard, and then she goes away and wins.
Yeah.
Here, there were almost ramifications, but they didn't last long.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, you see Zahir's effect on the Avatar as a whole, but not as much
Yes.
the rest of society.
Exactly. Either way, it's an alright series. I will admit it. It's as long as you don't look at it after you've watched it, it's alright.
Yeah.
And don't look at the comics if you feel like having a nice day.
Yeah.
Maybe you should just watch it backwards.
There you go.
Yeah, just like undo the entire series
Watch everything unfold.
in
Yeah.
reverse, so it never happens. That's genius, and I'm going to be doing that
Yeah,
tonight.
because it'll be like you got the Legend of Korra, and then after that, when you finish that series, you can watch the Avatar, which is just so much better.
It's true.
I could not say enough praises for the Avatar series as it is.
Absolutely.
We'll probably bring you back for when Netflix comes out with their live action and whatever the cartoon adaptation is.
Screw
Do
it.
that.
But we need a trash on it if it's bad, and then begrudgingly admit it was okay if it was.
Yeah.
It probably won't be.
To make a brief derailment, but I'm not sure if any of you had watched the anime Death Note. Fairly short anime, but
Naturally, yes.
the Netflix adaptation,
Was
I haven't
garbage.
seen that.
yeah,
I didn't want to.
I made it about 30 minutes in, and then I had to stop because it was so bad. And the only reason I made it 30 minutes was because I am a very big fan of the actor Willem Dafoe, who voices. Oh my gosh! Yes, thank you. Ryuk.
Yes.
But otherwise,
that was the
it was rough.
That was the only good thing about the live-action Death Note movie. Ryuk, aesthetically, visually, and as you said, his voice actor, fucking insane, on point, absolutely gorgeous. That was the only reason why I watched the entirety of the film. Beyond that, everyone else is fucking garbage.
Yeah, so Netflix needs to stop.
They really do. Just stop touching things.
Don't touch things that are not supposed to be touched.
Stop Americanizing shit, alright? Death Note doesn't occur in fucking Washington, D.C. or wherever. I've forgotten.
It's actually Washington State.
Seattle?
Which is where I'm at, yeah.
Not close enough.
But still, I get you.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really that hard to keep it mise en scene. Either way. Okay, it probably was, but still. Either way.
Oh my goodness.
If you love the level of quality content and analysis and bullshit that we provide for you out here on the ALW podcast, as per usual, don't forget to hit that fucking like button, ring the notification bell, subscribe, share this with your grandma, your aunt, your sister, unless she's stolen the rest of the ice cream again. That little snipe. Either way. I think we're coming to a little bit of a close, as some people say.
For having me on, I very much appreciate it. Been looking forward to it.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and of course, as we always say, we're not going to synchronize this. We're horrible, so everyone just say it at your own pace, so that everyone home can cringe. But any last words?
Last words. We'll get it in post.
Horrible as usual.
I feel like we should just say it one by one, as in each word.
Like in the intro?
I see, and then you can cut it and layer it over each other.
I probably can, because the tracks are independently recorded.
Yes.
God damn it. Now if I don't do it, people are going to point that out. Everybody write down in the comments if I didn't do it and make fun of me for not doing it. I won't care, but you'll feel better for it.
I'll probably make fun of you anyway, whether you did it or not.
If we get 3 likes, we'll punish Callan for not doing it.
This is true.
Even if he doesn't.
But what if I do it?
And if you do it, then no punishment.
Anyway. Oh.
Yay!
Oh,
my favorite.
I think I like Justice's idea better.
Yeah. We'll get some audio clips from your screams for my joysticks.
Yeah. I'm happy to contribute to something which we've put a significant amount of money into.
Of course.
Yes, naturally. Either way, thanks for coming out, everybody. Fuck off now.
Babies don't belong in movie theaters or on planes.
That's not controversial. That's a standard procedure. If I see a baby in a movie theater, I'm gonna fucking punt that baby.
You're gonna get that baby out of that movie theater.
I'm gonna stick its head outside the fucking eject door.
Well,
Be gone.
Just its head? It's... Okay, bless you.
Gesundheit.
We're gonna end it with that. We're gonna end it with that.
We will. I'm gonna like cut that sneeze and move it to the end of the discussion, just so we can ensure that it's always.
It'll be 5 seconds of silence, sneeze, and then
There you go, another one.
Damn it.
There we go. We've got
Another
two
one.
sneezes.